Good afternoon. Yeah, I don't have an opening statement. We're excited and ready to go for this training camp. Questions?
Could you explain the putting Mike Thomas on the physically unable to perform list, the decision-making that went into that?
Yeah, look, I don't expect him to be on there very long, but just not quite ready to be full go yet. So, but I don't anticipate him being on that list for very long.
Would you describe this as a setback?
No, not at all.
Mickey, do you envision what Dennis Allen can have the first season like Sean Payton? Boy, look at the expectations where we were after Katrina and then ending up in the NFC Championship game.
Yeah, let's go. Yeah, look, I think that for the last, what is it now, 16 years, we've had high expectations virtually every season since '06, right? I think all of us would say we didn't have many expectations in '06, but after that, we've had high expectations, and I like that. I think Dennis likes that. Our team likes to have high expectations. And so we have high expectations for this year.
Mickey, you said you're excited about training camp. What do you enjoy the most this time of the year?
Yeah, good question. Man, I enjoy all of it, really. I enjoy, we got young guys trying to make their mark. We've got veteran players trying to, hang on. We've got guys that are, trying to reach new plateaus each year. And man, I love seeing people that work hard, that are great people have success. And you can, this is sports, I think, are one of the industries where, you can see that and you can measure it, and then the rewards that come with that they're all exciting to see guys achieve their goals, and so I like that most about particularly about training camp, when guys are trying to improve, trying to make their mark, trying to establish their roles. So that's fun for me.
Nick, what have been some of the differences you've seen in maybe the way Dennis organizes things and how Sean?
Yeah, I don't know that I've gotten far enough along to and I haven't thought about, hey, what's different. Their personalities are a little different. But remember, Dennis has been part of this for 12 of the last 16 years. So I think if you ask him, and you can in an hour here, he would say that a lot of what he does, he's taken from Sean Payton. So there's a lot of similarities, more similarities than differences at this point.
What stood out about Matt Ray's approaches so far in the conditioning and some of the different maybe ideas that he's brought?
Yeah, I think there's just some science that we haven't seen here before, and I think our guys in particular have taken to it. And
just what about that science was appealing to you guys as a team?
Yeah, I think, look, you're always looking for something new and to create an edge, and that has some demonstrated success, and we saw that with the success he's had at the college programs he's been with, and so we're hoping that transfers to the NFL.
Mickey, what did you guys like about the veteran running back you just signed in Malcolm Brown?
Yeah, look, he's had success in our league. We had great evaluations on him, coming out, and he's an experienced veteran player that looked good in his workout, and we'll give him an opportunity.
And with that running back room, has there been any updates on Alvin Kamara's situation?
No, there's nothing new at this point.
Does he have to be excused next week to go to it?
Yeah, I don't know that we have an answer for that yet. I don't think he has the answer for that yet.
Was signing Malcolm Brown because of the uncertainty in that room?
No, I think that, look, we're just looking for competition. Here's a veteran player who's a good player. We have good evaluations on, and wasn't the only guy we signed today. We signed an offensive lineman, and we signed I guess we signed the offensive lineman yesterday technically, but we have an offensive lineman and a defensive end as well. So we're always trying to improve the roster, and this is part of it.
Mickey, every player that was not already announced on the PUP list the other day, that means they're good to go. Everyone else is.
No, I think we're going to have, look, Marcus Davenport's going to go on that list. Mike Thomas is on there, and Rashid Shaheen is going to be on there. I don't anticipate those guys being on there for a long time, but they'll be on there. We had two guys that were non-football illness today, not injury, that were just sick and couldn't participate, so they won't be long for that list either.
And can you characterize Thomas in any way? I know you don't want to put a date on it, but a lot of people are wondering, oh no, he's still not ready.
He'll be off that list soon. That's my anticipation.
Taysom
Well,
Mills,
that's what I anticipate.
Taysom Mills ready to practice?
Who?
Taysom?
Taysom's ready to go, yes. Marcus May, ready to go, yes.
Did everyone else report today that was expected to be here?
Yes.
So to clarify on Kamara, you guys don't know if he's going to make an in-person appearance at court or not?
I don't know, no.
Mickey, I guess you always want to have more players, but looking at the totality of the offseason, how do you feel about addressing your primary
Yeah.
needs coming out of last season?
Yeah, I think, I've said this before, every year we go into the process of the off-season with musts, needs, wants, and I think we did a good job of certainly filling the musts and the needs. Some of the wants, maybe we didn't quite get there, but yeah, I think I feel good about the competition that we'll have and hopefully the end result at each position.
Mickey, what are your expectations for Peyton Turner, first rounder, 2021? You've always said in the past, you almost have to go back to meet you in
Yeah.
like 4 years, whatever. He appeared in just 5 games, but was looking, 3 tackles for loss, a sack in his first NFL game. So you can see the skill set there. What are your expectations?
Yeah, look, I would say we have high expectations for him, and yet we recognize that, listen, he had some, injury issues last year, and hopefully that's he's overcome that. He looks good. He's had a good offseason, I think, and then, but we have high expectations for him, and yeah, I think oftentimes what our expectation is that second year you're going to see a jump. And we had that with Cam Jordan, if you remember. We've had that with a number of players over the years. So I think our expectations for year 2 are generally higher than they are for year 1.
Would you say the same thing for Pete Werner, who's now basically he's going to be one of your stars?
Yeah, I think the same thing. I think, listen, I would say that we saw some market improvement as the season went on last year because Pete was able to get on the field and play a lot of football for us, and so we're excited about him and excited about the prospect and excited about his improvement going into year 2 as well. And remember that, look, there's we've got guys that are 3 years removed that haven't had a real off season yet. Cesar Ruiz, this was his first one, right? Because of COVID and because of his rookie year. So there's some expectations on some of these guys that with a full off season, with the experience that they've had with us, that we're going to see some jumps in performance.
Mickey, you mentioned with Marcus Davenport likely going on the PUP. What are you sort of waiting for in his rehab? I mean, it's obviously it's an unusual situation.
I think for him it's really more about just conditioning because he wasn't able to do some of the things in the strength and conditioning program that the other guys were able to do. So a lot of this is caution. It's we have these roster avenues to proceed slowly, and so in his case that is the case.
But as far as the injury shouldn't, once he's fully up to speed, shouldn't affect
No,
his performance,
again,
right?
this is more about his physical condition than it is about the specific injury or injuries that he's had.
Vicky, what was your comfort level with Jameis coming off that injury? Like when you're signing that extension,
Yeah.
has he kind of met
Yep.
or even exceeded kind of what you were hoping to see?
Yeah, I think he's hit all the benchmarks, and we feel good about where he's at physically, and look, we're going to proceed with caution with him, but he's going to be out there practicing, and we'll monitor the reps, but we feel good about where he's at with his knee.
Do you think it's maybe easier for a player like him to make growth in the system during training camp when feels confident about his spot as opposed to maybe battling, not afraid to make mistakes, things like that?
Yeah, I think look, that's better a question for him, but yes, I would say that look, when you know your role regardless of what it is, and you can focus on what your role is, then and that you're comfortable with that, then obviously you can get more comfortable and improve, based upon
Nick,
that.
all the backup quarterbacks that you've dealt with, and you look at Andy Dalton, like 160 starts, and just watching him in OTs and minicamps, it seems like he's been here like 4 or 5
Yeah.
years, not just this offseason.
Yeah.
But where does he rate, like, when you look at all the backup quarterbacks?
Yeah, well, look, you remember we had Mark Brunell, and so, man, there's that's a security blanket. When you have someone that's been in that fire and isn't going to get rattled, isn't going to get, shook up by any circumstance. He's seen everything, he's been in everything. And look, when you have that guy, he's such a great help for the starter. And look, I'm confident we can win a lot of games with Andy Dalton if something happens. And so, yeah, it's a real good security blanket to have when you have an experienced backup player that has been a starter in our league and been successful.
Mickey, when you were roster building this offseason,
When we were,
yeah, the whole group,
Yeah.
the whole collaborative effort, you were, how much did you take into account timeline, like the maturation of your roster?
Yeah.
How much did that go into effect of this team? It seems like a veteran team.
yeah, look, I think you pay attention to it in the sense of, okay, Pete Werner's a good example. You pencil him in as a starter, and we know a lot of things about him, and yet we have an expectation that there's going to be some improvement, and your confidence in that is, based upon your experience with a particular player. So, yeah, that's part of the equation, certainly.
Well, what I meant, I probably didn't word that very well.
Yeah, you didn't.
Is this roster built to win now? You hear that a lot.
Well,
You know
yeah,
what I mean?
good question. Yeah, I think we can. I think our team feels confident in our ability, but that there's so many variables that go into a season. But yeah, this is the best way to describe it. So, yeah, we think we can win now.
Mickey, looking at rather history of the Saints, even before you, it just seems like I've never heard the fans be more optimistic about the cornerback room. That we might have the best group of cornerbacks in Saints history from top to bottom.
Good. Yeah, good. Listen, again, we like our group. We like, Paulson was, man, a great surprise, sort of surprise. I guess the surprise was that he performed so well so early. Yeah, I think we all saw talent. And having Bradley Roby and him wanting to be back and be part of this, and Marshawn's development, and there's some other guys that we kind of like that are under the radar. So, yeah, I think it's a good room. I think we have a lot of guys there that can play and play good football for us. I don't know about history and look, I can recall some good corners here. Eric Allen, right?
Yeah, but I'm talking the whole group.
Alex Molden. There were some guys that were good players back in the day that, and I'm sure there's more. I'm just throwing a couple names out that I vaguely remember. Do you remember the guys you played with? Are you saying they were no good?
They weren't good.
They were playing behind your shoulder, so they were overachievers.
Yep, I got it.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, we've got a good group and a talented group, yes.
Mickey, speaking of Marshawn, I think we probably take him for granted a little bit, but when you signed him to that deal, how gratifying
Yeah.
was it? It's been
Well, we signed him to a deal that didn't take him for granted.
Yeah, how gratifying was it to see him have, one of the best seasons, if
Yeah.
not the best he's had yet? You kind of have a recent track record of that, but I mean,
Yeah.
to see him take that next step.
Yeah, look, it's always a concern that when someone gets a contract, do they exhale and maybe relax a little bit and their performance dips. But look, we've had a lot of guys respond really well when they've gotten contracts, and that speaks to their character. And again, that speaks to the evaluations that our scouting staff do in terms of character and what's important in terms of motivation. So, yeah.
If you lose a player like Marcus Williams, now you have Marcus May, it seems like it's a win-win, both situations. But obviously with the Achilles injury,
Yep.
but then the depth there, you have to be pleased how well P.J. Williams has
Yeah.
excelled at that safety position.
Yeah, it's good to have players that are versatile, that can fill multiple roles. And I'm anxious to see Marcus. He's coming off that injury. He's ready to go. We'll be smart and cautious with him as we go along. But it was tough to lose Marcus Williams. It's tough to lose somebody you draft who performs well. And like I've said in the past, sometimes you have to make choices relative to the resources that you have. But it's good to have him and Tyron obviously to fill the roles that Malcolm and Marcus did for us so well in the past.
But do you guys see Alante Taylor as someone that can play inside, outside? Do you guys kind of?
Yeah, I think we're going to find that out here as we go along in camp.
Will Lutz, having him come back, because
Yeah.
it was revolving door early in the
Yep.
year. The consistency that he had as a kicker was
Yeah.
tremendous. Everything okay off-season wise, ready to go.
Yep. Yes. And it is. You're right. Look, it's just unexpected when your kicker gets hurt, and then you have an expectation he's going to be back after a few weeks, and then there's a setback, and then out all year. That's a tough deal to handle on the fly, which is kind of what we did. So it's good to have him back and feeling good and ready to get back to a stellar career that he's had to date.
Mickey, for so long, the team's personality seemed to start with Sean's offense, especially with Drew running
Yep.
it. Not just because Dennis has taken over, but has the defense kind of become more of the personality of this team just because it's gotten so good recently?
Yeah, well, I would say, first of all, I think for the past 16 years, 15 years, whatever it's been, the whole team has taken on the personality of Sean Payton, and that's been a good thing. And, I think that your teams do take on the personality of your head coach. And so we'll see how that evolves. And Dennis's personality is different. But in terms of being aggressive and playing to win, all those kinds of things, I don't expect that to change. But we'll see how that evolves.
How would you describe Dennis's personality?
Man, he's I would say he's a grinder. He's set jaw. He's a little bit of an old school soul, tough-minded. Maybe a little more conservative. We'll see. As he takes the head coach role. But yeah, I'm anxious to see how that goes.
Just as much as you guys want to kind of emphasize continuity this offseason, how important was it for you to get Pete back in this play calling role?
Yeah, that was important. I saw something recently that talked about his success as a coordinator over the years, and he's got a remarkable resume for the last 16 years. The number of times that we finished first and second, and I don't think he's ever gotten enough credit for his role in our offense, and hopefully he does. I mean, look, the year he called when Sean was out, and he called all the plays and ran the offense without Sean. We were second in the league, and it just speaks to his ability. And so it was really important for us to retain him.
Mickey, since Coach Payton's Sean's still in the contract, and are you expecting, or is that a measuring stick maybe to get the calls that the Raiders were able to get from the Bucs with John Gruden? Is that a measuring stick? Or how do you work that out, that to say when he's still on the contract, another team won't show?
Yeah, I haven't really thought about that much because I don't think Fox Sports is going to give us anything for Sean. So, look, when the time comes, we'll deal with that. But if there's something to deal with, but I haven't spent a lot of time thinking about that, Bobby. There's too many other things that we have to deal with, and it's not productive until there's something real out there. Yeah. What else?
For all of the continuity that's in the coaching staff right now, a new face like Cody Burns
Yeah.
who's joined, what stood out about him so far?
Yeah, look, his energy, he's it's a fresh set of eyes and great energy and just a new approach. And, yeah, I've been really pleased with him. We've got a core group of young assistants on our staff that people don't talk about or hear about, but, man, they're really sharp, good football minds, great motivation. Man, I can see a lot of guys on our staff that I see great futures for, and Cody's one of them, certainly.
Kind of in that same vein, Bicknell, who came over from Cincinnati,
Yep.
his work with transitioning wide receivers from college to the pros, and then now Chris Olave is going through the same transition. Was there any calculation there in terms of his ability?
No, I think we just saw an experienced, really good football mind that could work with Pete and help Pete, and has great synergy with him, and yeah, we're glad to have him as well. I'm glad you mentioned him. What else? Mike? Nobody? Doug, you got anything?
Nope.
Start going through the roster and
Were
asking
you
questions.
responsible for the black helmets?
I don't want to take credit for that, but I've been an advocate of a black helmet for quite some time, yeah. So I'm not taking credit for it, but, yeah, do you like them or you hate them?
Yeah, like,
Yeah.
So you asking if I am taking credit or blame? Which one are you asking? Credit. You like them? Who likes them? You like them?
like,
The fans like it.
yeah.
They do?
Like-
Yes.
Good. Yeah, I like them too. It's something a little different. Absolutely, yeah. Especially now that I know they like them. Look, and speaking of fans, listen, I hope that, Bobby, you said there's a lot of excitement around town about our team. Look, I hope that manifests itself with the attendance at training camp. We need a full field out here with fans, because that improves our practices. And I think especially with some of the new guys that we've got that aren't familiar with our fan base, that would be important. So I hope you guys I'm encouraging all of our fans to come out and be as loud as they normally are. So thank you all.
All right. Yeah, look, we're excited about getting started. Feel great about the where we're at as a team right now. Excited about getting going, and we got a lot of work to do, a ton. And so we just, you know, I know everybody talks about all these cliches and everything, but you know, we just got to take it one day at a time and continue to improve every single day. And that's really what our thought process is right now. So I know you guys got some questions for me, so fire away.
Do you have any time frame as to when you'll expect Tyron back, or is that a day-to-day thing?
No, look, he's dealing with a personal matter, and so we're going to allow him to do that, and he'll be back when he's ready to be back.
I thought she was going to say Michael Thomas, so I'll ask the same question.
I wanted to switch it up a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I know you're not going to name the day, but I mean,
Soon.
does everything continue to be
Soon.
really
Feel good about
positive?
it. Feel good about it.
Dennis, how do you feel, like, if you can recall or remember, you're in the National Football League and you're a head coach, the very first day doing this press conference with the Ravens compared to where you are now with the Saints?
Oh, I'm much further along. I'm much more comfortable sitting in this seat than I was at that point in time. I mean, I was 39 years old, you know, and really, you know, had been a coordinator in this league for 1 year. You know, so I've seen a lot more happen between that time and this time. And so I'm much more relaxed and comfortable in that environment right now.
Dennis, how would you describe James Winston as a leader?
Well, I'd say he's a quality leader. You know, I think he's verbal when he needs to be verbal. I think he's motivational. But you know, I think more so than anything, the leadership quality that I appreciate the most out of him is work ethic. Because it doesn't matter what you say if you don't back it up with what you do. And I think he's got incredible work ethic, and I think our guys, you know, gravitate to his personality.
Dennis, you also said we took the job that you're going to put your own spin on it. You're going to obviously take a lot of what Sean did and establish. How much of that would be noticeable to the media corps or the fans in terms of your own spin?
Well, it's probably a question that you're going to have to answer yourself at some point in time as you evaluate what we do. I mean, I don't think you're going to look out at practice and go, oh my God, everything's totally different. You know, there's going to be a lot of similarities. I think it's probably going to be more about, you know, maybe how things are run behind closed doors, you know, how I talk to the team, you know, just my personality. But I don't think you're going to look at, you're not going to go out to practice and think everything's just totally different.
Do you think the situation that Jameis is in, just knowing he's a starter, maybe not being worried about making mistakes, makes us feel like a better growth period for him?
Well, I would never use the term not worried about making mistakes, right? You know, like I do feel like he's a little bit more secure in his position, you know, and I think that's a comfortable feeling to have. But look, we still know this is a production-based business, you know, so we all know that we got to go out and perform, and certainly Jameis understands that. But yeah, I would say, you know, I'd certainly think that knowing that going in, you know, gives you a little bit of security and a little bit of confidence going in.
Dennis, you mentioned how much farther along you are now compared to your first day in Oakland. What's the difference between the situation you're inheriting here versus the one you inherited there?
Well, look, I mean, I don't really want to go and live in the past and that type of stuff. I'll say this, like, I've got a ton of familiarity with this organization. I think this organization has a ton of familiarity with me. That's personnel, that's coaches, that's players, and so I don't think there's any surprises when you kind of look at that. So I think the organization knows what they're going to get from me, and I feel like I know what I'm going to get from the organization. So I like where I'm at right now.
And so what kind of team do you want to have? Is there like a certain trait you want this team to have that
Yeah, we're gonna be tough, we're gonna be smart, and we're gonna be highly competitive. We're gonna compete our tail off in everything that we do. And that's really been our mantra about how we've played defense around here for, since 2017, really. And I think we've seen some of the fruits of that labor, and that can be carried over to, our whole football team. And so, it's not some, fancy cliche or anything like that, but that's what wins in our league.
do you try to like foster that attitude like day one in training camp, or like how do you kind of build that?
Yeah. I mean, look, if you want to get something done, and you want to be good at something, it comes through repetition, and so that's, we're preaching that message on a day in and day out basis, and everything's designed to build some toughness, to make sure we're playing the game intelligently, and then we're going to go out and compete, and you don't learn how to compete until you go out there and you do it every single day.
How is Marcus May progressing from his injury, and how does he and Tyron kind of complement each other?
Well, the answer to the first question is I think he's progressing nicely from the injury. He'll be ready to go when we go out there tomorrow. I think we got to be smart and making sure that we're just monitoring how he's doing, because he certainly didn't get a lot of activity during the spring, and so we want to kind of be able to ramp him up a little bit, but feel good about it. I think him and Tyron complement each other really well. Both have the ability to play deep. Both have the ability to play down in the box. It's going to allow us to have some multiplicity in terms of what we do defensively, which is good. And I think, Tyron's veteran presence will bring some intelligence and leadership to that room.
Yeah, so y'all go full gear. Are those days over where you actually go live? Because I know it might be a handful of plays. You go like goal line, offense against you. Do you think those days are over and all the live action probably would see would be a preseason game? Or?
It's always a fluid situation. I think obviously to be good at tackling and holding on to the ball when you're being tackled, you kind of got to go through that experience a little bit. I think that's something that we always monitor and evaluate as camp goes on. I think we all get in a bit of part of a lot of these training camps. You go in, you're like, okay, we're going to do this period live, and then you're like, damn, I don't want to get anybody hurt. You know what I mean? So you're always constantly evaluating that, but I think it's a valid question, and certainly that's something that we think about.
Have you already mapped out how you want to use starters during the 3 preseason games?
No. I've mapped out what we're doing tomorrow. Right? And that's.
I don't mean the individuals, but I just meant like the.
Yeah.
Is the 3rd preseason game like the 3rd used to be, that kind of thing?
Yeah, I've got that thought, in my mind, and we'll keep it there for right now.
Are you going to be cautious with Jameis during practice just because of his coming off that injury?
I think you're always cautious with the quarterback, but yes, I don't know that we're going to necessarily look. He's going to participate in team drills, but certainly there's a an extra sense of making sure that we stay away from the quarterback and certainly don't want any unwanted contact.
No snap count limits on him at all or anything like that?
Not as we go in, but certainly we'll evaluate that as we go through. I'm excited about seeing how he looks getting out here tomorrow, and man, I feel good about where he's at.
Dennis, I was curious about, since you've been in this seat now, since when you got hired, I know you know that you have a special job and the importance of the Saints in this city, but has it grown any? Have you had that appreciation even more? You get stopped in the supermarket and people maybe more often. I mean, is there any sense of that?
Yeah. No, there definitely is, and I understand, you know, the role of the head coach in this city, and it's a little bit different than other places, and so, you know, I understand that, I appreciate that, and I welcome that. You know, it's exciting, you know, and I know that this city loves this football team and has a close connection with this football team, and I know what it means to this city when we have success. And so that's a responsibility that we all take on.
In the past, there were players that say there's a game day, Sean. Is there a game day Dennis Allen?
Yeah, there is. You know, I don't know what that is. I mean, you know, you get geared up for game day. You get excited about it.
Did they get a little bit of that from the Tampa experience, maybe?
Well, you'd certainly have to ask them, but I don't think that was any different than how I was when I was, you know, the defensive coordinator. You know, like, look, we don't get to go out there and play the game to compete, you know, so our competition is, you know, behind the white lines, but it's the only way we get to compete, and I think all of us as coaches enjoy that part.
Any notations on Taysom, or is he kind of full go?
I think all of these guys that are coming off of injury, there's some, you know, just paying attention to a rep count, you know, but in terms of, you know, is it on one day off, that there's nothing like that. But yeah, I mean, I think we're going to be smart with all these guys.
Taysom is such a unique player. Can you kind of summarize what his role might be this year, or might that still evolve?
I think it's going to be very similar to what we've seen in the past. You know, I think he's going to provide multiple roles for us. You know, there'll be a lot of working with the tight end grouping, but yet, you know, he'll still take some snaps from the quarterback position. We're still going to utilize him, you know, in that role, and so I don't see like a ton different. There's still going to be a lot of special teams that he's going to participate in. He's a really good football player, and we want to utilize his skill set, and he can help us win football games.
If Alvin is suspended, is he an option at that role?
Well, I wouldn't rule anything out, you know, for Taysom in terms of what he's capable of doing. Hell, we tried to recruit him over to play Sam linebacker for us a couple of years ago. So he's certainly a versatile player, and we're going to utilize him in a lot of different roles.
We haven't really had a chance to see him since he was coming off that injury last season, but I know last year he kind of changed his body to fit more of being a quarterback. Has he been able to, he's been healthy enough even to kind of bulk back up and be more in that kind of range where he was before?
Yeah, I don't know if he's quite where he was before, but look, I think he's in excellent shape. I think he looks good, and I think he's feeling pretty good.
Matt Ray had a tweet recently saying that the conditioning test looked like football and that made him happy. Is that a change from years past, how you guys did your conditioning test here?
Yeah, a little different, a little more, you know, sprints and shorter recovery times. There's a ton of different conditioning tests that are out there. You know, we kind of talked and thought that, you know, I wanted a conditioning test that corresponded with the game that we play. And the game that we play are short sprints, typically, all right, and quick recovery. So I got to run a certain distance, and then I got to get back to the huddle, and then here we go, we're running another play. And we tried to simulate that, you know, as best we could in a conditioning test, and I thought the guys did pretty good with it.
And what about Matt's approach and viewpoint overall? Do you like just about what he brings?
Well, I think that he's got facts and figures to back up his thoughts and ideas, and I think, I'm not smart enough to understand all the physiological elements of it, all right? But when you can give me facts to back it up and statistics to back it up, then it makes more sense to me. And I think that's what he does a really good job of.
How are you handling Alvin's situation? Just kind of take it as it comes, or?
Yeah, look, I mean, I try not to ever worry about things I don't control. And so I don't control that situation, so we'll see how things play out, and then we'll adjust accordingly.
Dennis, when you look at,
you and Pete have been on the same staff for a long time.
Yeah.
Now that you're head coach, have you sat down with him at all? Just kind of have a meeting of the minds of what the offense is going to look like?
Yeah, absolutely. We talk all the time, again, I don't see it looking just a whole lot different. I see it being very similar to what it's looked like around here in the past. But yeah, look, I have conversations with all our coaches all the time. And I think that's what good organizations do. They have great communication.
Dennis, dealing with the practice schedule, the fans that come to take practice, you know how inclement weather, the heat index and all, they gotta get up practice like the 4th, 5th, and 6th, and I'm saying, there's no way Dennis would have them out there 3 days in a row, the heat index is 110, 180. Would that be something, sorry, no lightning, but we can't say we're going inside? Or?
Well, I haven't gone all the way through that, Bobby, to be quite honest with you. Okay, again, I got tomorrow's schedule. I know it's going to be hot tomorrow. All right. So we'll play that by ear as it goes. I mean, certainly we're cognizant of the fans being out at practice. We love having the fans out at practice. I think it's highly motivational for our football players. And so we're cognizant of that. But we also know that, and I know the fans know this too, and I know it's disappointing, but the most important thing is that we take care of those players, all right, because that's the most important asset that we have in this organization is our players. And so the number one priority is to make sure that we are looking out for their best interest, which then in turn gives us the best chance to win games.
So Dennis, you're saying your role is not going to change as far as being a defensive coordinator / head coach. I call plays. You know how now and then Sean will let Pete Carmichael or Coach Carmichael call the plays, and then maybe he would come back to calling the plays. Is that maybe a role you could see where you throw the coaches, the coordinators, whatever, a bone now and then as far as?
Talking about in the regular season?
Yeah, a regular season or even in preseason, giving them more.
I could see that happening in the preseason. I don't envision that right now in the regular season. Obviously, as with anything, everything's fluid, but I'll never say never, but I don't envision that.
Coach, on defensive line, is different looks now today from so many different angles. You feel good about the depth, because looking at it on paper, everybody's healthy. That's really a strength of your football team. We talked about the secondary, but defensive line play too.
Yeah, it's a good group. It's a good group. I think we got a lot of talented players. I think they're coached really well, and I think they play extremely hard, and they do the things that we're asking them to do. And yeah, we do have good depth at that position. And I would say this. I would say, one of the things that we wanted to do this offseason was build a highly competitive roster. All right, we talked about our roster and our team being, tough, smart, and competitive. Well, part of that is, man, I want our guys competing every day. And how do you encourage competition is, well, you get a lot of really good players. And you have to compete to stay on top. And so, yeah, I think that's, I feel good about that. And I think we're in a good spot there.
Dennis, not to talk about Michael Thomas's injury, but just his mental state. Have you been able to talk to him and just how he's feeling about coming back?
Yeah, I had a great conversation with him today. I like where Mike Thomas is. You know, look, certainly, you know, I'd love there not to be any issues at all, but, you know, that's not the nature of what we're dealing with right here. And I feel like, you know, and we all feel like it won't be very long before we see him out there on the practice field and you know, start working him back in and getting him ready for the season.
Dennis, what do you think Doug Marrone is going to be able to do to impact the offensive line? Any impressions on him?
Yeah, I think he's a really good football coach. You know, I think he's tough. He's demanding, but yet I think he's also been around enough that he's willing to do the things that it takes to get the best out of a player. Sometimes it's, you know, maybe not talking to him so nicely. Sometimes it's loving him up a little bit. You know what I mean? And I think that's what you get with, you know, a veteran coach like Doug. All good? Appreciate it.
That was same thing, Coach Dennis.